good morning, and students. Today we are going to discuss about embryo. Last class we have already completed the endospore. Today we will discuss about embryo. What is embryo? First, you have to know. For formation of embryo, first zygote is needed. Last class I had told you one is syngamy, another is triple fusion. Syngamy. What is syngamy? Already have discussed. It is the fusion of male gamete with female gamete. One male gamete when fused with female gamete or egg. Female gamete. There is fusion of male gamete and female gamete. Male gamete is haploid containing one set of chromosome. Female gamete is also haploid containing ends or one set of chromosome. When male and female gamete fuse with each other, it produces a zygote. And zygote is two-end, diploid. It is a diploid structure. Last class I had told you one endosperm. Endosperm is a triploid structure. But this zygote is a diploid structure, and zygote is a single cell. It is unicellular, single cell. It is a single cell. Zygote is made of only one cell. It is unicellular. Zygote is a unicellular structure. But what happens with time? The zygote undergo mitosis. There is mitosis in the zygote. And what is mitosis? All of you know. When a cell divides to produce two daughter cells. So that's why this parent cell, zygote, produces two daughter cells. Again there is mitosis. 2 produces 4 daughter cells. 4 produces 8, like that. Number of cell increases and it produces a multicellular structure that is called as embryo. So that's why if you want to know what is embryo is nothing. Embryo is a multicellular structure produced from zygote. So it is a larger in size as compared to zygote. Zygote is unicellular, made of single cell, but embryo is multicellular. It is larger in size. So that's why from the syngamy we have to start. Syngamy. The syngamy produces zygote, then zygote increases in size to produce embryo. So embryo is produced from zygote, and it is also a diploid structure. You have to remember, it is a diploid structure. But what is the importance of embryo? Just like last class I had told you, the importance of the endosperm. Endosperm is a nutritive tissue which provides nutrition to the embryo. But this embryo is nothing which gives rise to a future plant. In the plant, after reproduction, the offspring plant is produced from this embryo. So that's why it is called, embryo is called as miniature plant, a small plant present inside the seed. So if you clearly define what is embryo is a mini plant, small plant present inside the seed which gives rise to a future plant, which produces a future plant. So that's why important thing, first you have to know about seeds. What is the seed? If you come to the seed is a structure which is produced after reproduction. I will tell in detail what is the seed later, but you remember seed is a structure which is covered by a seed coat. This is the seed coat. This is the seed coat. Seed coat means covering of seeds. This is the seed coat. And inside the covering, there is an embryo. This is the embryo. So embryo is a miniature plant. We can say embryo is enclosed inside the seed. Embryo is a miniature plant. Mini plant or small. It is a miniature plant enclosed inside the seed. And it gives rise to a future plant. Embryo gives rise to a future plant. So that's why if you look what is embryo and what are the parts present in embryo are categorized into two types, monocot embryo and dicot embryo. Monocot and dicot. Now two types of embryo we will discuss, monocot embryo and dicot. So first come to dicot embryo. Dicot embryo. Now we will take the structure of dicot embryo. Two types of embryo are found in dicot plant. Dicot embryo, in case of monocot plant, monocot embryo. So if you look at the dicot embryo, first there is one axis known as embryonal axis. In the embryo there is one axis. This is called as embryonal axis. The axis just like our body axis. In this marker you can find the axis. This is the longitudinal axis, height of the plant. So similarly Here this is the axis, and this axis is called as embryonal axis. This axis is called as embryonal axis. Embryonal axis of the plant. Embryonal axis also called as a tegelum. Embryonal axis or tegelum. Embryonal axis or tegelum. And from this embryonal axis, from one point, let this point, from this point, two leaf-like structure arises, just like from the plant, leaf arises. Two leaf-like structure arises. Here I can show. Two leaf-like structure arises from the embryonal axis, from this point. Two leaf-like structure arises, just like in the plant leaf arises, two leaf-like structure arises. And these leaf-like structures are known as a cotyledon. What is called? Cotyledon. The cotyledon are the leaf-like structure arises from the embryonal axis from one point. This is the point. This is the point on the embryonal axis from which this leaf-like structure arises, which is called as a cotyledon. And these cotyledon are also called as seed leaves. Cotyledon are also known as seed leaves. Cotyledon are also known as seed leaves. And these cotyledon are very thick and fleshy. Thick and fleshy. Thick. These are very thick. If you compare their structure, they are not like the normal leaves. What you are observing daily life. They are very thick as compared to normal leaf. They thick and they fleshy. They are fleshy. Fleshy means not dry. They are rich in water content. So that's why thick and fleshy leaves which are found on the embryo are known as a cotyledon. These are sometimes called as seed leaves because they are present. These are leaf-like structure present inside the seeds. These are called as seed leaves, and they are thick, very thick, due to reserve of nutrients. Just like in pollen grain we have read, pollen grain is rich in nutrients, the vegetative cell. Similarly, here cotyledon is very thick due to reserve or storage of nutrient. Because sometimes this cotyledon also provide nutrient. Cotyledon, in addition to endosperm, last class I have told you, the endosperm provide nourishment to the developing embryo. Similarly, here the cotyledon also provide nutrition to the developing embryo. So here remember, we have completed the embryonal axis, and here we have completed so sorry for interruption. We have completed here the embryonal axis, that is called tegelum, and two leaf-like structures known as a cotyledon. In addition to that, if you see another part from this point of attachment of cotyledon, this is the point of attachment of cotyledon. You can say this point. This point is the point of attachment of cotyledon. From this point of attachment of cotyledon, above, from this point you can find a part of embryonal axis above. We have divided now the embryonal axis into two parts. Now we have divided the embryonal axis into two parts. This is the complete embryonal axis, and this embryonal axis can be divided into two parts. From this point of attachment of cotyledon, this is the upper part. From this point of attachment of cotyledon, this is the lower part. And from the point of attachment of cotyledon, the part which is present above, this part is called as epicotyle. This part is known as epicotyle. Epi means above the cotyledon. From the point of attachment of cotyledon, the part present above is known as epicotyle. Similarly, the part of embryonal axis present below the point of attachment of cotyledon is known as a hypocotyle. So two parts, epicotyle and hypocotyle. Epi is present above the cotyledon and hypo is present below the cotyledon, and this is the point of attachment of cotyledon. Another important thing you can find, the end. This is the tip, terminal point of epicotyle. This part is epicotyle. This is the terminal end of epicotyle, and this is the end of hypocotyle. You can say this is the terminal point of hypocotyle. The end of epicotyle is known as a plumule. This end of epicotyle is known as a plumule, and the end of hypocotyle is known as a radicle. This is called as a radicle. You can remember what is plumule and radicle. Plumule is the upper part, it is the terminal point. Plumule is the end of epicotyle, whereas a radicle is the end of hypocotyle. And what is the function of this plumule? Plumule give rise to future future shoot of the plant. Shoot means stem because it is present in the upper side. So it gives rise to future shoot of the plant. Similarly, this radicule gives rise to future root of the plant. Future root of the plant. This gives rise to future shoot of the plant. Shoot means stem part because this is present in upper side. So that's why sometimes direct 1 mark question comes. The plumule gives rise to future shoot. Which part gives rise to future shoot? That is plumule. And which part gives rise to future root? That is radicule. And another important thing here you find the radicule is covered by another cap-like structure. There is a cap-like structure surrounding the radicule. The radicule is covered by another cap-like structure to protect when it goes inside the soil because the root always goes inside the soil. So that's why it is covered by one cap-like structure. This cap-like structure is known as a root cap. This is called as a root cap. This cap-like structure is known as root cap-like structure. This is called as a root cap. You have to remember radicule is always protected by root cap. So these are the important parts in case of dicot embryo you can find. So clearly you have to understand there is an axis in the embryo called as embryonal axis. Later we have divided it into 2 parts. But this embryonal axis is attached to 2 cotyledon. So as there is 2 cotyledon, how many cotyledon are there? 2 leaf-like structure. That's why it is called a dicot. Di means 2. So due to presence of 2 cotyledon, it is called dicot. And from the point of attachment of cotyledon, the part of embryonal axis above the point of attachment of cotyledon epicotyle, below the point of attachment of cotyledon is hypocotyle. The tip end of epicotyle is plumule, end of hypocotyle is radicule, and it is covered by cap-like structure called as root cap. So this is all about your dicot embryo. But now we will discuss about monocot embryo, and we will compare the difference. And difference already given in the note, PDF note, what I have already sent you. So now come to monocot embryo. Monocot. What is monocot embryo? In case of monocot embryo, you find only 1 cotyledon. Its name indicates mono means single. There is single cotyledon. So now come to monocot embryo. Monocot embryo. What is monocot embryo? So monocotyledon. In case of monocot embryo, nothing is difference. Only few difference you find. In case of monocot embryo, if you look at the structure of monocot embryo, instead of 2 cotyledon, there is a single cotyledon, and 1 cotyledon is rudimentary or non-functional. You can say non-functional cotyledon is present. This is the embryonal axis, imaginary embryonal axis here, and the same embryonal axis is called tesellum here. And this is the point of attachment of cotyledon. From this side 1 cotyledon, from this side also 1 cotyledon. So 2 cotyledon is also present here. So monocot, in case of mono means single, mono means single. Here also 2 cotyledon are found. This is the point. This is 1 cotyledon, this is another cotyledon. But what is the difference? 1 cotyledon is functional. This is the functional cotyledon. You can see how much it is large as compared to this one. 1 cotyledon is functional, another cotyledon is rudimentary. Rudimentary means there is no function. It is reduced. So that's why it is called as a monocot. So this is the functional cotyledon. This is the functional cotyledon, and this is the rudimentary or non-functional cotyledon. The functional cotyledon is known as a scutellum. You have to remember the functional cotyledon is called as a scutellum. Non-functional cotyledon is known as epiblast. So epiblast is the non-functional cotyledon, but scutellum is the functional cotyledon. So 2 cotyledon are there. Scutellum is functional and epiblast is the non-functional. And another important thing, here also you find epicotyle and hypocotyle. As these are the cotyledon, from the point of attachment of cotyledon, this is above, it is called epicotyle, and below, this is called hypocotyle. And the tip of epicotyle, let epicotyle ends here. The tip of epicotyle is called as a plumule. Tip of epicotyle is known as a plumule, and the tip of hypocotyle, the end of hypocotyle is known as radicule. End of hypocotyle is known as radicule, and the radicule is covered by another cap-like structure. Here also there is a root cap. You can find root cap. But what is the difference? Here, in this case, you find this structure. This is the structure. We have not read. This is another cover which covers the plumule. The plumule is covered by sheath. Sheath means a covering. Similarly, the radicle and root cap is also covered by one hollow sheath. Sheath means cover. The plumule, in case of monocot, first difference you have to remember, there is only one functional cotyledon called as scutellum. Non-functional cotyledon is called as epiblast. It is having no function. So that's why this is the real cotyledon. So sometimes question comes, in case of monocot, what is the name of cotyledon? Cotyledon means functional cotyledon. That functional cotyledon is called as scutellum. But in this case, you find the plumule is covered by one sheath. Sheath means cover. This is called as a coleoptile. Coleoptile you have to remember. What is coleoptile? Coleoptile is a foliar sheath. Foliar means leaf. Here also small leaves are found. This small leaf containing sheath or cover covering the plumule. In case of monocot, it is absent in dicot. So in difference of monocot and dicot embryo, you can write it. Clear? So the plumule is covered by a sheath or covering, that is called as coleoptile. Similarly, the radicle and the root cap is covered by another sheath. This is called as a coleorrhiza. So two parts you have to remember, extra parts in case of monocot. One is coleoptile, another is coleorrhiza. Coleoptile is the covering of plumule, and coleorrhiza is the covering of radicle. Coleorrhiza is the covering of radicle. So coleoptile and coleorrhiza, these two parts you have to remember in case of monocot. So now you can write easily the difference between monocot and dicot embryo. So now you have completed two embryo, monocot and dicot embryo. So now our post-fertilization event completed. We have started with post-fertilization event. Post-fertilization means after fertilization. What are the events taking place after fertilization? Now we will move to our post-fertilization structures. Two structures are also formed after fertilization. Post-fertilization structure, post-fertilization event completed. Now come to post-fertilization. Post-fertilization structure. Post-fertilization structure. So after fertilization, what happens? But before going to this post-fertilization, post means after, you have to know about pre-fertilization. So now we will compare pre-fertilization and post-fertilization. Pre-fertilization and post-fertilization. Pre-fertilization, what is pre-fertilization structure? In case of pre-fertilization structure, in the female part, you find ovary and ovule, two important parts. Ovary and ovule. Already we have discussed what is ovary and what is ovule. But these two structures are converted into two important structures in post. Post means after fertilization. So what happens after fertilization? After completion of fertilization, the ovary converted into fruit. You have to remember, ovary converted into fruit and ovule converted into seeds. You have to remember, ovule converted into seeds, ovary converted into fruit, ovule converted into seeds. And what is ovary and ovule? Already you have discussed. The carpel consists of stigma style ovary. If you recall, this part is called ovary, and inside the ovary there is a small oval or spear like structures. These are called as ovule, or also called as megasporangium. Already you have discussed, ovule is also known as megasporangium. So what happens? This ovary, all of you know, this ovary is covered by one ovarian wall, and the ovule are covered by one integument. Outer integument, another is inner integument. So what happens? These are present before fertilization. So that's why these are called pre-fertilization. This structure, what I am described here, it is present in pre-fertilization. But after fertilization, what happens? After fertilization, this ovary, complete ovary converted into fruit. Complete ovary converted into fruit like this. The complete ovary converted into fruit. This is the fruit. Complete ovary converted into fruit, and the ovule converted into seeds. Ovule converted into seeds. You can find ovary converted into fruit and ovule. The ovule may be single or more. Here I have shown single. Here I have shown more than one ovule. That ovule converted into seeds. So that's why always inside ovary the ovule is present, inside the fruit seed is present. That is the reason. Because ovule are found inside the ovary. Ovule are present inside the ovary. So that's why after fertilization, post fertilization, the seed are present inside the fruit. So we can say this is the fruit, and this is the seed. So you have to remember fruit and seeds, the relationship between fruit and seeds. Fruit is a fertilized ovary and seed is a fertilized ovule. So definition, you have to remember definition of fruit and definition of seed. What is fruit? After fertilization, ovary converted into fruit, but ovule converted into seed. So that's why I can write fruit is a fertilized. It is a fertilized ovary, and this is a fertilized ovule. So that's why you have to remember the fertilized ovule. Sometimes direct question comes. The fertilized ovule or ripened ovule is known as the ripened ovule or fertilized ovule is known as fertilized ovule or ripened ovule is known as the seeds, and fertilized ovary or ripened ovary is known as fruit. And this fruit, just like the ovary is covered by one ovarian wall. This is the ovary wall. This ovarian wall, after formation of fruit, the fruit having a wall or covering, and this covering of fruit is called as a fruit wall or a pericarp. You have to remember, sometime 1 mark question comes. What is pericarp? Pericarp is the fruit wall which is developed from ovarian wall after fertilization. Before fertilization we have used ovary wall, but after fertilization that fruit wall is called pericarp, or it is the ovarian wall. The ovary wall changes into pericarp. Similarly, previously we have used one covering of this ovule. The covering of ovule is called as integument. Now this ovule is covered by integument, but after fertilization, now there is no ovule, there is seed. So seed is also covered by one covering. The seed is also covered by one covering, that is called as a seed coat. This is called as a seed coat. So that's why you have to remember the fruit covering is called pericarp and the seed covering is called seed coat. And all the seed coat are produced from this integument. Integument changes to produce seed coat. But in integument we have discussed there is two integument. One is outer integument and another is inner integument. Both the integument, outer and inner integument, changes into two seed coat. So that's why there is two seed coat. Outer seed coat and inner seed coat. Outer seed coat, inner. So that's why seed is covered by two covering. That is seed coat. One is outer seed coat, another is inner seed coat. So here only you have to remember after fertilization what happens. After fertilization, the ovary is converted into fruit, ovule is converted into seeds, and ovary wall is called pericarp, and integument now changes into seed coat. So integument changes into seed coat. Simple thing. As ovary is converted into fruit, the ovary wall changes into fruit wall, pericarp, that is called pericarp. Similarly, as the ovule changes into seed, the integument changes into seed coat. So there is no doubt integument changes into seed coat, ovary wall changes into pericarp. So this much you have to remember for today's lecture. So thanks to all of you. This much for today.